Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Difference Makers. I'm Lyndon Wilson, the creator of The Difference, a media company that promotes spotlights and helps small businesses, entrepreneurs, independent contractors, people in our communities that are working really hard to make our communities great. We host shows weekly to spotlight those, and we have just created a new one called The Difference Makers. It usually runs for about an hour and a half. Today, we're going to have a little bit shorter, but it's going to be an incredible show nonetheless. I've got a great co-host today. He's been doing this for quite a while. And so I'm excited to bring him on and bring his guest on. Before I do want to remind everyone, if you would, please hit the like button, subscribe button, whether you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it might be. Please follow us, especially if you're someone that supports small businesses, shop, hire, buy local, anything that you can do. That support really helps these small businesses. And in today's environment, today's climate, where sometimes the large corporations are picked to be the winners, we need to do all we can to support the small business. So having said that, I now want to bring in today's guest, Mr. Steven Beaver. How are you doing today, Steven?
Doing great, Lyndon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm having a happy, successful day.
Excited about today's show. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited about today's show too, and we're going to do a little bit something different with yours because you've done this before. This isn't your first rodeo, so we're going to run a little different format than what we normally do, simply because you have that experience, and I like your questions better than mine. So before we bring on your guest, let's talk a little bit about you. Who you are and what you do. So if you would just start off and introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your business and your company.
Right on. So what I do is I put people out of work. Pretty simple. And how I do that is their family life is like this, but their work life is like that. But everybody says family first. Well, your work life is like this. So I'm a business consultant, and TMV is my tagline, take more vacations, because the real story is I had 5 kids, and in 18 plus years, we only took 4 vacations. Now, at that time, I had a martial arts school, the largest martial arts school in Oklahoma. So, that's a business, right? So yeah, from 0 to 3, I was Mr. Mom. My wife was in the military, worked from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so I saw that I changed more diapers than she did. I saw more walking. I saw the first walk, the first talk, all that stuff. But when they went to school, I saw my kids in the morning before they left school. So about 15 minutes there. Saturday afternoons, if we weren't at a tournament, I'm a 2-time national champion. We were a tournament school, and Sundays. And I wondered why my wife had a better relationship than I did with my kids. And I don't want that for everybody else. So it's totally serious, even though it's kind of a gimmick. But your family life is like this, your work life is like that, and you're missing all those events. You cannot tell your children at 17 years old, I want to see you at 7 years old again. You miss that event, you miss that event. And so I don't want anybody to ever miss that event. So I make sure that they delete and delegate their work so that they can actually see every event that a kid has. And never miss an anniversary, and go on more vacations and live life. You work to live. You don't live to work. And so that's my whole thing, is just to help people. And then what happens? They have this dream of doing something that helps the world. And instead of having to work, they're like, well, I could do this. I can help save the whales. I can help this charity. I can make it my own charity. I can help people, disadvantaged people, become better and bigger. And that's what the world needs. And so that's what I do. That's why it's TMV, Take More Vacations, just to stand alone for whatever that you want to really do to make a difference in the world. So that's all I do. I put people out of work.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So in staying with that, part of what we're doing with the difference makers is we're really looking to interview, bring people on within our communities that are doing the same things we are. You just said something about whether you want to save the whales or whatever it is that you want to do. A lot of us work within our communities because we love our communities.
Absolutely.
We love what we do. We enjoy and we want to make a living for our family, but we love our community and we want to serve them. So quickly, just so everybody kind of gets an idea, and I preface it by telling people your community may be your town. It may be your suburb. It could be your state. It could be a niche that you have. But it's wherever you feel home and wherever you're trying to connect with those people. And that's what this show is about. So let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, just kind of enlighten us where you see your community.
Okay, so unfortunately, our community is changed from when we were kids. When we were kids, your parents knew everybody in your community, in your neighborhood, at least on your block. And it was not uncommon that if you did something wrong, the neighbors took charge. And you may have got a whooping from your neighbors. And they come over and say, hey, you're good for you. I'm so glad that you caught him doing that, right? And the world was the evil. Russia was evil. Germany was evil. Everything was evil. But the neighborhood was the community that was closely knit. Well, now it's completely opposite. We understand that the world is the same as we are. They have the same problems. But I challenge people to give me 3 names of the neighbors that are around them. Do you know 2 deep even? 1 deep, maybe. Maybe you don't even, the person on the left, but not on the right. And that's the problem that we're having. So that's the kind of thing that we need to work towards, is to get back to that fundamental. Rockefeller said, take my money, take my businesses, leave me the people with interpersonal skills. I'll beat you every time. And that's what we're missing. We're missing that. I may not agree with you, and then, okay, but I certainly understand you. I certainly now have a better idea of where you're coming from. And I may not agree with you, but I'll say, you know what? Lyndon knows what he's talking about. I don't agree with him. But if you want to talk to somebody about that, go see, instead of Lyndon's a jerk. I hate Lyndon, blah, 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 blah. That's where it's at now, right? It's not that.
Right, the cancel culture type thing.
Right? So, don't get me started on that. We spend the whole 30 minutes. Mike won't get a chance.
Yeah, that'd be another, maybe an hour show there that we could do that. I understand exactly what you're saying. The whole cancel culture and we've forgotten how to get along with people that aren't just like us, and that's sad. It really is, because that makes a very, very unique world, very strong world. So not to get too far off, because you've got, but not to get too far off topic, I want to bring in your guest now if you're ready to introduce him. But I'm excited for this and the questions that you're going to be asking him. So take it away now, Steven, and let's meet your guest.
Okay, so this is Mike Unklebach. Mike is an everyday wealth coach and founder of Everyday Wealth. I'm going to let him explain a little bit more about what he does, but let me just tell you this. This guy understands on an infinite level about health as well as wealth, and your health is your wealth. And I'm kind of leading him in there. And I probably shouldn't do that, because he can talk all day about health and how to stay healthy and all this kind of stuff, because he's had some issues, but you'll need to talk to him about that. Today, we're here to talk about the wealth side of everyday people and how you can actually be like a Rockefeller, be like a Richard Branson, be like that. And it's really a crazy thing that he stumbled across. Been in the business for over 40 years. I'm starting to talk for him. I should stop now, but just an amazing person. And Mike, the first question is just in a few sentences, and you can take more than that. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Mike Unklebach. Business-wise, I've been an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur my entire life. My dad pushed me out the garage with the lawnmower at 12 and never looked back. I actually wanted a new BMX bike, and I told him that, and he said, son, come on out to the garage. I think I can help you with that. And I thought, Steven, he'd bought it for me. And what he did was took me out to the corner of the garage, showed me the lawnmower, held up the gallon can of gas and said, son, I'll even seed your business. I'll pay for the first gallon of gas. And the rest is history. By 14, I had employees. I took my insurance exam the day I turned 18. I married my childhood sweetheart. She was 18. I was 19. We have 25 and 35-year-old children. Now we have two grandchildren. And I have a passion for two things. One, to serve people with their health. I've been doing that on the functional medicine side for the last 15 years since I got really sick and healed myself nutritionally. We're not going to talk about that today. But the other side is I've had my insurance license since the day I turned 18. And in the last 18 months, I just got really re-energized with a new concept, and some things have changed in the industry with a way to go out and show people how to better warehouse and take care of their cash, to actually create an alternate banking system from the one that everybody else uses. And I couldn't be more excited. I think we're going to actually tremendously create a wave of change with this new banking system.
I know where you're going with this, but I want to ask this question before we get there, because that's a rabbit hole that's going to be really fun to talk about. But what's the best thing? Because you've been doing this since you were freaking knee high to a grasshopper. What's the best thing about being a business owner? Question number 2.
Oh, wow. It's time freedom. I get to come and go as I choose. I set my schedule. I book my vacations. Somebody's not telling me I get 2 weeks in the back corner of the summer. We take off every year at Christmas. We take off at our birthdays. My wife celebrates a birth month, not a birthday. And you can't do that if you work for somebody else.
Right on. So now we're getting ready to do our brilliant idea. Landon, is this where you wanted to go ahead and cut real quick, or should we just push on through?
Yeah, go ahead and let's just keep going. Let's just keep going.
So,
We've got a pretty good flow going. We can do that now.
So question number 3 then, Mike, what brilliant idea do you want to share with other business owners and everyday people out there?
Oh, wow. So you said I got 18 hours, right?
Yes, and we're going to condense that down to about 15 minutes. But yes, go ahead.
So the brilliant idea is this. There's a new sheriff in town in regards to the way you warehouse or store your cash. And that new sheriff is using an insurance policy as a banking instrument. It's may sound foreign to you, but dividend paying whole life policy has every characteristic you need to keep and use your money, except the difference is you control it. They're paying you 4% interest instead of nothing. You have total access, you have total use, but even more important than that, you've taken the money out of the current system and created your own ecosystem. And Steven, you can literally become your own bank. And so I'll either let you ask the question or I can ask it for everybody.
I gotta ask the question, Mike. That's crazy. I'm glad that your crazy ideas happen. But can you give me a story? I'm a story kind of guy. Can you give me a story that explains this example?
Sure.
Some kind of story.
So we're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to go get a new car today. And so since we're in Texas, you're going to get a pickup truck. And I can't help this, but Ford's been the #1 selling pickup truck in Texas for a long time. So Steven, you're going to get a new F-150. And so you're going to go down to the Ford dealership. And because you want your truck to have wheels and tires and leather seats and air conditioning, that truck's going to cost you about 60 grand today. If you want to have, now you could spend a lot more, but you're going to spend about 60 on yours. Just a nice base, really nice truck. And so when you go to the dealership and you want that new truck, you don't talk about price. The first thing they ask you is, what do you want your payment to be, right? It's negotiate the payment, but you're going to talk about the price with the dealer, and you're going to settle on that $60,000 truck, and you're going to go down to the finance guy, and you're going to settle on the fact that you'd like to be able to afford to make your payment. So you're going to do that 72-month financing thing and, get about 6% interest. And so you're going to spend $72,000 over the next 72 months, about $1,000 a month to pay for that $60,000 truck. And that's the way we do it in America. And then at the end of that 6 years, if you took really good care of the truck, it's worth about 30, but it's time to do what? Trade it in, get the next.
Yeah, because there's a better one out there, right?
Yeah, well, you've used that one up.
Yeah.
So what if you had met me 3 or 4 years before you went to buy that truck, and we had learned about this new banking system, and you had capitalized your own bank? So instead of borrowing from Ford Motor Credit or First Bank and Trust or whoever you borrowed the money from, you had your bank capitalized and you borrowed the money from yourself out of your bank, and you cut yourself the exact same deal that Ford Motor Credit was going to cut you because you're a good banker, and you made the exact same payment for the exact same 72 months. Here's the difference. At the end of the 72 months, you have the $72,000 instead of Ford Motor Credit. You have the title to the truck. And because you were making those payments back into your own bank, you started earning interest on the money that you paid back month one. So instead of 72, you have $80,000. So choice one, borrow 60 grand, pay 72, have a title worth 30. Choice two, borrow the 60 grand from yourself, pay yourself back the 72 and have 80. So you can have 80,000 and the title, or you can just have the title. Which one do you want to do?
I want option two. That's a no-brainer. And I'm sometimes considered to be not that smart about math. But so what you're saying is, in this whole life policy, let's just say I'm preparing for the future. I want to pay cash for my next vehicle. So I'm putting that $1,000 in. And so at the end of 5 years, I have the $60,000. So that's where I'm actually getting the money, right? Is because I'm doing that, and then I borrow the money back out, but I'm still making interest on.
Yeah, so it's actually even better than that. So here's how it actually works. Here's
better.
the actual
liar.
Yeah, here's the actual mechanism. So you funded your bank, and yes, you've got 60,000 in cash value in your policy. Because you have that, the insurance company is happy to loan you the money, and they're going to use your policy as collateral. And here's what happens, Steven. The 60,000 that you have in your bank never leaves, and it never stops earning 4% interest. So we get total and complete uninterrupted compound interest. We make the payments back to the insurance company plus interest. The interest that we pay over and above, because we're a good banker, goes back to us.
Yeah.
And so our account actually grows. By making those payments back to our own bank, we're going to actually pay it off ahead of time, and you're actually going to end up with extra money going to your account. And so when it's time to get the next truck, you repeat the process. But let's talk about the real time value of that money and what's actually happening, because until you understand this, you don't get the full gravity. So in 6 years, because you capitalized your bank and paid the insurance company back, your money never stopped earning. So now you've got $80,000. That little transaction on that little truck was an $80,000 positive move in your favor.
Yeah, because
Steve, how many cars is an adult in America going to drive between 25 and 65? One?
Probably 7, 8, 10, somewhere around there. Every 2 or 3 years. Most people go upside down. So I'd say every 3 or 4 years, you're probably getting a new one.
Okay. So, and then if you're married and you got a spouse, there's another.
I got to buy one for the wife. Or if she's the money winner, she buys one for you.
And if you got a couple of kids, there's another couple of cars.
They're always expensive.
Yeah. You had 4, so you were a glutton for punishment. But anyhow, if that's 15 cars at $80,000 a pop,
that's $1 million.
I'm not a math whiz, but yeah, that's $1.3 million.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was over $1 million.
Just for cars.
Just for buying cars.
And I'm making compound interest over on top of that.
Yeah, uninterrupted. What if you did your student loans that way? What if you did your vacations that way? What if you did your washer and dryer that way? What if Visa and MasterCard every month were paid off at the end of the month from your bank? What if I could teach you how to run your entire cash flow through your bank and make 4% interest on every dime you make for the rest of your life? Let me tell you who's been doing this. The wealthy. They've been doing it for a long time. Now, let me blow your mind. These policies are typically called banking policies, and a lot of different people own them. The wealthy all own them. But take a wild stab at who the number one purchaser of these banking policies in America is. Unless you already know, you'd never guess.
So if you say the wealthy do it, I would say the wealthiest person probably are in the ones that have the most. It just makes sense. If they know how to do this, why would you not just keep doing it? So I would say the top 10% of the top wealthiest people out there probably.
Oh, they all have them. The record, by the way, is the biggest one we know about is 200 and some odd million in premium. That's the record, 200 million in premium. But the number one purchaser of these banking policies are banks.
Oh, I missed it. Wow.
So here's how this works. When you take $100,000 and you go down to the local bank and you buy a CD, because they really like you today. As a matter of fact, Steven, they love you. They're going to pay you 1% interest. Okay, so now that they have your money, that's called Tier 1 capital. That's their most prized asset. So when a bank has Tier 1 capital, they can go to the Fed. You've all heard of the Federal Reserve, right? And everybody thinks that's a branch of the federal government. It's not. It's a private bank. And they can borrow money from the Fed. I think the going rate now is 1/4%. So your 100 entitles them to somewhere between 800,000 and $1 million. That's the actual money they loan out for cars and credit cards and washers and dryers and vacations. Now they're paying you 1, right? They're charging 3 to 11, and if it's a higher rate credit card, as high as 27, and they're using your money as leverage. Now, here's what they do with your Tier 1 capital. They put it in one of those banking policies with an absolute 4% guarantee because they don't want to put it at risk.
4% compounded.
Yeah, but they're paying you 1. So everybody says they're making 3%. No, they're not. They're making 400%. And then they leverage your money to another $1 million, and it's over 1,200% return on their money. Have you ever asked yourself how these guys can have $1 million building on every corner? I mean, I live in Frisco, Texas. You know, there's a Chase, a Bank One, there's $1 million bank buildings. How the heck do they build those buildings? They don't even have a product to sell. Yeah, they do. They sell your money over and over and over. It's called fractional reserve banking. They loan money they don't even have. Now, here's where it gets really fun. So you put your 100 in, right? And I go borrow money out, and they used your money as leverage to get the money they loaned to me, right?
Yeah.
So when I deposit my money back in, it becomes Tier 1 capital all over again.
I am in the wrong business. I'm going to stop business consulting. I want to be a bank. Wait.
Yeah,
I can be a bank. I can be a everyday
your own bank.
Bank. Yeah.
And that's okay. So then here's where it gets really fun. The reason I got excited about this, I love telling this story, and we're only scratching the surface. There's no way in the time we have we can dive in, folks. You need to learn more. And Steven, I'll make an offer to the people on here. If they'll reach out to you and send you an email, I'll send them a book for free. It's called The And Asset. It's not a long book. You can read it in one evening easy that explains this in great detail. I'll pay for it. Lock, stock, and barrel. I'll buy the book. I'll pay the shipping. If they reach out to you, I want them to have the book. But what I got so excited about was once I introduced people to this concept, and they get their bank funded, invariably I'm 90 days to 6 months in with people before they come back to me and go, oh my gosh, how do I run everything through here? And then here's where it gets really fun. Once you have cash, opportunity seeks cash. You are going to get presented with things you never would have before. You're going to get the chance to evaluate things. You're going to be able to do things the average person doesn't do because you are now capitalized. Instead of being a debtor all the time, I believe it says this in a good book somewhere. It says, be the bank, don't borrow from the bank. And there are people that have figured that out, and they are the bank, and they're winning at this game. All the rest of us are just getting our hat handed to us.
It makes sense. Now it makes sense, that old saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It totally makes sense now. I mean, we broke it down into simple math. It's not rocket science. It's just simply they're utilizing a tool. They have a wrench and I have a pair of pliers, and I'm trying to take that lug nut off. And it's like, hell no, you need a wrench, right? I don't have the wrench. They just have a different tool.
Yeah, we're showing up. We're showing up with the impact. Yeah, we got the NASCAR pit crew tire changing tool. But Steven, there's one other thing I got to tell, because I hear them right now. There are people screaming at the screen going, yeah, but I pay cash. Every transaction's financed, folks. Either you borrow the money from someplace else and pay interest, or you give them your cash and you lose the time value of the money. So in 30 seconds, if I'm borrowing and then paying back and getting back down to the sum line of zero, or I pay cash and then rebuild my savings so I can do it over again, all I did was get to the same line through a different path. Nothing changed. When you give up the right to uninterrupted compound interest, nothing changes.
Yeah. All right. So I hate to ask the next question because we could go on for this, but the show's almost over and I really want to get to it. This is just my fun question. So how do you celebrate a win?
Oh man. So family, but the easy answer, it's easy. Man, I have this love affair with this thing out in my garage called a bicycle and a pedal bike. So 2 years ago, I rode my bike 10,000 miles in 1 year just to prove I could. My favorite thing to do is block out 2, 3, 4, 5 hours and get on my bike and just pedal. And my phone goes in the back pocket, but it's on vibrate, and my wife knows to call a certain number of times in a row if it's important to interrupt my ride, and I know how many that is. And it also tracks me on GPS so she can see where I'm at. And there ain't nothing better than 3 hours of uninterrupted bliss, no phone calls, no music, no nothing, just me and my thoughts and my prayers. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah. Don't ask me. I don't run and I don't ride a bike, but I do other things that are just as great. People would say just as crazy. So, well, right on. Lyndon. So, what'd you think?
Well, I think, Steven, for your first show with us on the difference, it's going to be hard to top this one. This was a really, really good show. I mean, I've got people blowing up my phone on text message and then going in also in the comments. So it's pretty exciting. Mike, we've got to have you back. We got to hear more about this because it's great information, but both of you guys are really good at telling a story. And so it was very compelling to sit and listen to it. And I've actually heard some things that you've talked about before, Mike. And so it's good to hear it again and kind of have that reinforced, because I think for some of us that's never heard it, you're like, oh, that's too good to be true. And if you listen to the right people and you listen enough, you realize it's not too good to be true. It is true.
Hey guys, thank you so much. And I would love to come back. Maybe we do a question and answer for people sometime.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. All right,
Mike, you're the bomb, like always. I always learned. I thought I had all the answers, but you again, you threw a curveball, and I took the sucker swing for the fastball. Good job. You're always keeping me on my toes, keeping me honest, keeping me like, oh, there's one more trick I got in my bag now that you're not going to be able to fool me on. So you might want to study a little bit. All right. So
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
right on.
All right. Well, like I said, Steven, great show today. I can't wait now for your next one. I wish it didn't have to be another month before you're back home. Maybe we can fix that somehow. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching today. We had a pretty good turnout, and we're going to keep doing this. And I'm going to try to get when you find out your next guest, we're going to get that out in front of everybody so they can be prepared for it. We're just getting all this kicked off, so. You guys hang with us as we work through the bugs on this new series and new format of what we're doing. But I want to thank everybody for being here today. And our next, the Difference Maker Show will be Thursday morning at 11:30 a.m. I hope to see you here. And Steven, thank you very much. And we'll be in touch. Okay.
Sir, yes, sir.
All right. We'll see you later.